I've just landed in Santiago, Chile, in South America. And I'm just waking up after a long flight. And I'm beginning to realize that I'm in the wrong car at the wrong time. My first thought, I've been hoodwinked. And then a slowly emerging fact began to arrive. And that was that I was vulnerable, that I was being kidnapped. I'll come back to that. We have I want to speak to you today about the song of your soul and how it performs for you. It's with you, it comes in at birth, it stays with you the rest of your life, throughout the rest of your life. It's constant, it never changes, it won't go away. However, there are some dark energies in the world that can come in and interrupt that song. That's what I want to speak with you about this moment, this morning. My research tells me that as much as 20% of the population may be suffering to one degree or another from this dark, malevolent kind of energy. Examples, you might have thoughts that you can't explain. You might have thoughts about suicide. You may wonder about a pain you have in your body, and no one can diagnose it. There's no cause for it. You're beginning possibly to feel crazy. You're losing your connection to the song of your soul. I'm Dr. Peter Bonaker, and I'm a shaman. And I've written a book named or titled Sacred Shield, Shamanic Protections for the Modern World. I have had the opportunity of working with hundreds, literally hundreds of students in a favored class called Walking with Protection, which was with the Four Winds Society. And I've conducted well over 1,000 individual energetic healing sessions. And of those, some 500 of those have dealt with this energy that I want to speak with you about today as we go. My history is that I was an educator. I have a doctorate in education. I've worked as a special ed teacher, director, an elementary school principal, and I've ranged in services all the way from preschoolers through postdoctorate or postgraduate work at the university level. When I was 16, I was in a very severe automobile accident. And one of the extraordinary things that happened from that experience was that I came out of it with the understanding of what children needed, what children, young adults, and their families needed. And I really didn't know why. I just did, and I accepted it. 15 years ago, I realized, and that was 40 years to the day later after that accident, so you can do the math. And I needed to realize and understand what that was that allowed me to know things that other people didn't know. That was problematic in my life, because if you know more than who you're working for, people don't like that sometimes. And so that did always create issues for me. So I stepped in to training and began to understand why it was that I could see or know the deeper realms of the soul's journey. I began seeing auras, I began being able to see chakras and understand those. A shaman, what does a shaman do? A shaman works in the energetic field. We all, each and every one of us, have an energetic field, an energetic zone. At about an arm's length, we have an energetic bubble around us, essentially. We also have within us energetic centers, and they're called chakras. Chakras are the connection between our physical body and our energetic body, our luminous field, the song of our soul. I like to call it the song of our soul, easier to maybe get our arms around. When a dark energy comes in that I've mentioned, it will interfere with that energetic connection. That connection actually short circuit you, like a circuit breaker in your electric panel. If you've ever gone to that and the circuit's off and you go to throw it back on and it flips off, and you throw it on and it flips off until you find the short. This energy is similar. It has that ability to disconnect one from their physical body and their luminous body. It's a short circuit. It cuts it off. I'm interested to name that energy. I want to bring that energy, that darkness, to the light. In the light, it can be disempowered, and it is disempowered. I've named it Mordrigal. Mordrigal. Morty, for short. Easier. There's three main things that happen with Morty. When a person has fear, Morty comes alive. Morty has dinner with you. It's like a buffet banquet dinner special. And it just consumes that energy. It feeds on that energy. And it gets in there and it sets its teeth. It sets its place really deep. Another aspect is the shame, the concept of shame. In our society, in our culture, we don't like to speak about shame. We kind of brush it off. The Me Too movement, it's get rid of this. But we don't talk about what is this that we've moved off. We just put the person out. When shame comes from the severe wounds to our souls, it comes from child abuse, comes from post-traumatic stress syndrome. We've heard stories of beatings, sexual mishandling, molestation, rape, incest. These are wounds that reside deep, deep, deep within the soul, deep within, and they're extraordinarily difficult to heal. This is where Morty comes in and enters the luminous field, the song of the soul, and it holds there. It gets its hold there. Another aspect to what's happening when this energy comes in is that individuals become increasingly isolated. They become isolated from themselves, from their family, from their friends, and most deeply, they become isolated from their soul. What I want to share with you is that there's a protocol that's emerged during the time that I've had those endless number of sessions of working with and around this issue. Actually, I found that, when we are in service with people, we attract certain kinds of clients. And at some point, I had to wake up and realize that I had married twice to 2 incest victims, and that a huge percentage of the clients that were coming to me were victims of, on some level, of, in particular, the sexual mishandling. So eventually I had to take a look for myself at what that was about. There's a protocol. And I would call it a relatively simple protocol. It can be administered in 10 to 15 minutes by a trained shaman, a fearless shaman that works in this realm. And once that protocol is taken and it relieves this interference and removes it and then has some other aspects to it, then the healing can take place at a much deeper level. In the shamanic world, we journey, we do, and we work to remove energy from those deepest places of the wounds. So this protocol is one that is very important in that it has the potential to relieve the pain that people are in. Not everyone here by any stretch, but if there's a 20% factor, which I've seen in the data I have, there's a certain number in here that might be suffering along these lines with something similar to what I'm describing. I want to say there's hope. There's reason to know that you can gain relief from this. There is reason to know that perhaps when you're seeking out treatment, there's another way. There might be another realm. There might be another solution for you to look at. So I want to go back to the kidnapping and realizing that sometimes this energy can manifest itself in ways like when I was sitting in the back seat of the car, realizing that I was not in a good situation. Maybe life or death. It had a range of options. And what happened for me is when I was becoming aware, I was waking up. And as I was becoming increasingly aware, I started gathering in my protections, the protections that I've worked to develop in this shamanic field. And I began to grow in my presence. I became stronger and stronger and stronger, and literally began to take charge of the situation, as odd as that sounds. I don't know if I really was, but essentially I thought I was about a foot taller than this cab driver. It might have been true, but at least in my mind's eye. And the driver tried to put me out of the car as we were going, and I refused. I refused to get out of the car until I saw the people who were coming to rescue me. Thank you to an international calling plan that I was in contact. I highly recommend, if you travel internationally, have your phone, that it works. And I refused. I'm not getting out, not until I see those people, not till I see the people in that car. And I took control of the situation. I picked up and I raised my sacred shield. And for all of you here, I want to say that there are solutions to situations like this that can feel so desperate. We have so many people now in suicide. We hear about suicides with huge frequency and our young people. And there's multitudes of reasons for it. So I'm not suggesting this is the only reason, but it certainly could well be a part of it. And there is a way through it. There is a way through it. If your intention is strong to be well, you will be well. You will and you can get through that if you know. If someone near or dear to you, not yourself, falls into some of the descriptions that I've given you here today, there is a way There's a way to get through this. There's a way to be well. And so I recommend to you that you pick up your shield. You raise your shield, you seize it, you pick it up, and you carry it with you. Thank you.